Daf Mem Gimel Amud Beis will begin Mem Gimel Amud Aleph, the bottom line. Continuing on with our discussion, if there's a din tchumim lamala me'asar, the Isser of tchumim applies on a height higher than 10 tefachim. Let's bring a raya from the following: Tashma harini nazir b'yayim sheben Dovid ba. If a person says, "I'll be a nazir," I'm a nazir on the day that Mashiach comes. So the halach is mutar lishleis yain b'Shabbat v'yam tov. It's mutar for him to drink the wine on Shabbos and Yom Tov, because you know that Mashiach is not coming on Shabbos and Yom Tov. But it's also the rest of the week. So you know Mashiach can't come on Shabbos and Yom Tov, so it's mutar. But it's also the rest of the week, because any other day of the week he might come. Now what's the raya? If you say there's a din tchumim l'mala ma'asara, haina da Shabbos yamim tovim mutar, that's why we understand that on Shabbos and Yom Tov is mutar, because Eliyahu Novi, how could he travel and come on Shabbos and Yom Tov? He couldn't travel and come and to tell us. So therefore, Mashiach can't come on Shabbos and Yom Tov, because he would not violate the din of tchumim. And there's din of tchum l'mal masor. But if you say there's no tchum l'mal masor b'Shabbat v'yam tovim, my mutar. But if you say that there's no din of tchumim, so why should it be mutar? Maybe Mashiach is coming on Shabbos and Yom Tov, and if there's no din tchumim, he could come. He could travel through the air and fly and come and tell us. So therefore, doesn't that show you that there is a din of tchumim l'mala me'asara? That's why Mashiach cannot come on Shabbos and Yom Tov, and that's why it's mutar for him to drink the wine. The Gemara says no. Shiny halsam, over there it's different. Maybe I'll tell you really that there's no din tchumim l'mala me'asara, and that Mashiach could come. Why over there do we say on Shabbos Yom Tov is mutar? The Omer Kroi Hinei Anochi Shaleach Lachem Es Eliyahu Novi, because the pasuk rather says that I'm going to send Eliyahu Novi before Yom HaGodol, before that great day, before the day of Mashiach. So it says that before that Yom Godol v'Neira. That means that the day before Mashiach comes, Eliyahu Novi is supposed to come and be Mavaser, and that Mashiach is coming. And we know that Eliyahu didn't come on Friday, so therefore on Shabbos it's mutar. We know he didn't come Erev Yom Tov, so therefore on Yom Tov it's mutar. The Gemara, no, that can't be the shot. Then even during the week, you should say every day is mutar, because on any given day, Mashiach wouldn't come, because if he only would come if Eliyahu Novi came the day before. Well, I know if Eliyahu Novi didn't come yesterday, so today it should be mutar. Mashiach's not coming today. So therefore, on any day it should be mutar, if that's the case. The halayas Eliyahu me'asmo, because on any day of the week, well, Eliyahu Novi didn't come the day before, so it must be, maybe it's mutar. El Amrina, no, but why do we say the Tana clearly says that every other day of the week it's also? Why is that? El Amrina lebezdin hagodol also. Elamai, we must say that no, you can't drink wine. That no, he can't drink wine on any other day, because perhaps Eliyahu Novi did come the day before, and he came to the bezdin hagodol to inform bezdin hagodol, and it's just that we haven't heard about it yet. So therefore, it is also. So if that's the case, hachanami lemon the bezdin hagodol also. So here also say the same thing. Maybe Eliyahu Novi did come Erev Shabbos. Maybe he did come Erev Yom Tov, and we just don't know about it. So Shabbos and Yom Tov should also be also. One says no. Kfar muftach lam Yisrael shein Eliyahu bo loy ba'arve Shabbos v'loy ba'arve Yom Tov. That Klal Yisrael have avtacha that Eliyahu Novi is not coming on Erev Shabbos or Erev Yom Tov. He does not want to make it difficult for the Yidden to prepare for Shabbos and Yom Tov and to have a great tircha. And therefore, if they would come, they would have to greet Eliyahu Novi and etc. They wouldn't be able to prepare properly for Shabbos and Yom Tov. So we know he is not coming on Erev Shabbos and Erev Yom Tov, and therefore Shabbos and Yom Tov is mutar. So Kasal Kadaydach the Havamin is Midaleola also that if Eliyahu Novi wouldn't come Erev Shabbos and Yom Tov, Mashiach Namilayos, and then Mashiach also wouldn't come for the same reason. So therefore, you should say, if that's the case, b'mala Shabbos l'ishtari, then it should be mutar, and Erev Shabbos should also be mutar. Then if you say Eliyahu Navi is not coming Erev Shabbos and Yom Tov, and that's why it's mutter to drink wine for this person on Shabbos and Yom Tov, well, for the same reason we should say that Mashiach's not coming Erev Shabbos and Yom Tov to cause a tircha and a tirda for Klal Yisrael. So therefore, Erev Shabbos and Erev Yom should also be mutter. Where says no. Eliyahu Navi doesn't come, but Mashiach could come in Erev Shabbos and Yom Tov. Why is that? The Keva and the Asim Mashiach Kolavan Yisrael, because you don't have that issue. Because once Mashiach comes, that everybody, all the nations are subservient to Klal Yisrael. So therefore, they don't have to worry about the preparations for Shabbos and Yom Tov. They will have all the nations to serve them, and therefore they don't have that issue. The preparations for Shabbos and Yom Tov will be taken care of by all of their servants. So Eliyahu Navi won't come on Erev Shabbos and Yom Tov. Mashiach could. So therefore, he's only mutter b'yayin on Shabbos and Yom Tov, but not Erev Shabbos and Erev Yom Tov. Well, why shouldn't it be mutter to drink on Sunday? Sunday should be mutter, therefore. Because why? If Eliyahu Navi comes before Mashiach, and if there is an Isser of Tchumim on Shabbos, that means Eliyahu Navi couldn't come on Shabbos. And therefore, Mashiach wouldn't come on Sunday. So therefore, it should be mutter if you say that there's an Isser Tchumim, Lamal Yasara, it should be mutter for him to drink wine on Sunday, because if there's an Isser Tchumim, that means Eliyahu Navi wouldn't come on Shabbos. And that means Mashiach wouldn't come on Sunday. So if you say there's an Isser Tchumim, Lishaminod ain't Tchumim. So therefore, let us be poished from here that there's no Isser Tchumim, and therefore Eliyahu Navi could come on Shabbos, and that's why Sundays also the Yesh Tchumim b'Chad b'Shabbat Lishtri, because if there is an Isser Tchumim, Sunday should be mutter. D'Layas Eliyahu Navi, D'Layas Eliyahu b'Shabbos, because Eliyahu Navi wouldn't come on Shabbos. So let us therefore be poished that the Malam Asara there is an Isser Tchumim. The Gemara says in a Chanami, but we can't resolve this conclusively because Hai Tana Sukim Misafkala. At least you're right, you're correct, and so far as at least it is a suffix if there is a Isser of Tchumim Lamala Me'asora, but we can't resolve it definitively because perhaps Hai Tana Sukim Misafkala. Maybe the Tana Sukim Misafkala Yesh Tchumim and Tchumim. Ulchuma, and in both cases it goes Ulchuma. So therefore, he's machmir to say that maybe we would say that there is an Isser Tchumim, and therefore we say we're machmir to say that perhaps there's an Isser Tchumim, Lamala Me'asor, and therefore you can't travel, you can't go beyond the Tchum, even Lamala Me'asor on Shabbos. But as far as the Isser for the Nozer to drink wine, we can't say it definitively, and perhaps there's no Isser Tchumim, and he's Mesupik, and we're machmir to say there's no Isser Tchumim, maybe Eliyahu Navi would come on Shabbos, and therefore it's also to drink on Sunday. So perhaps the Tana, yes, you're right, and so far as saying that the Tana at least has a suffix if there's an Isser Tchumim Lamala Me'asora. And therefore he's Mesupik that perhaps there's no Isser Tchumim, and therefore Eliyahu Navi could come on Shabbos, but he can't say it definitively. And maybe therefore he's also Machmer and says as far as traveling beyond the Alpine Mama on the Tchum, Lamala Me'asora, maybe he would answer it and be Machmer and answer it. So we can't resolve it one way or another, but in any event, as far as analyzing that case that the Tana brought down, if the person says Hareini Nazir on the day that Mashiach comes, the Koi Amos Kanor. So we haven't resolved our Shaila from this Brisa as far as Yesh Chum Malamet Sar or not, but now we're analyzing this Brisa, we're analyzing it to determine the exact circumstances of this case when the person made the Naziris. So when was it that he made the Naziris? What day of the week did he make the Naziris? The Koi Aim is the Kanadar. If you're saying he was on a weekday, he made the Naziris on a weekday, well, if that's the case, well, how can that be? And why would he therefore be mutter on Shabbos and Yom Tov to drink wine? If he's on a day of the weekday, perhaps the neder is chal. Perhaps on any of the day of the weekdays, maybe Eliyahu and Novi did come the day before, we just didn't know about it. Maybe this is the day that Mashiach is coming, and the neder should be chal. Now, when Shabbos and Yom Tov comes along, why should it be mutter to drink? Maybe the Naziris was already chal. And then on Shabbos, it should be also how it can be mutter on Shabbos. Maybe when Shabbos comes, maybe really that the Mashiach already came, and Eliyahu Novi came on Thursday, and we just don't know about it, so how can it be mutter on Shabbos? Ella, the Gemara answers, Ella, the Kohen b'Shabta v'Kanada, or b'Yom Tov v'Kanada. Elamai, what it means, the way Rashi explains it, what it means is it doesn't mean that every Shabbos and every Yom Tov is mutter. That's not what the meaning is. No, what it means is, our understanding right now is that it means is that if he made the neder on Shabbos and Yom Tov, that day that he made the neder is mutter. But in the future, the rest of the week, and in the future Shabbos and Yom Tov will be awesome. It's only the very first day, if he made the neder on Shabbos and Yom Tov, that day is mutter. Why is that mutter? Because that day is mutter, as the Rashba explains, is because the intent of the Naziris when he made the neder was that he will be a Nazir if in the future, from the point of utterance of the making of this neder, if a Mashiach will come from this point and on, if he will come now from this point and on, then retroactively he is a Nazir from now. So now, if Mashiach, even if Mashiach did come beforehand, it's not relevant. He's not a Nazir. He's only making his Naziris if a Mashiach comes from this point in time and on. So what happened in the past is not relevant. Now, will Mashiach come on that very first Yom Tov or the very first Shabbos? Well, we say that he won't, because Eliyahu and Novi wouldn't have come the day before. It's not a question only that we didn't hear about it or not. He would not, like we mentioned earlier, Eliyahu Novi doesn't come on Friday. He doesn't come on Erev Shabbos or Erev Yom Tov. So, therefore, Mashiach would not come on Shabbos. And therefore, Mashiach is not coming from this point and on. We can assume that today, to this day, at this point and on, that Mashiach will not come. But that's only the very first day of Shabbos and Yom Tov. But in the future, days of the weekend and future Shabbos and Yom Tov, Yom Tov would be also. So the Gemara says, it's only on the very first day of Shabbos, or the very first day of Yom Tov, that we say it's mutter mikan ve'elech also. Coming back to the case over here where they had the Rabban Gamliel and the Zakenim were on the Sfina. So one time they were traveling, these four Tanoim were traveling together, and they were coming close to the port, and they didn't dock until it was already after dark and it was already Shabbos. And the question was, were they within the tchum of the port when Shabbos came, on the onset of Shabbos, and therefore could they disembark, and could they come down and disembark from the ship? Were they already in the tchum of Shabbos? Tana sheferes hayasal Rabban Gamliel. So Rabban Gamliel said we can go down and disembark because we were within the tchum of the port on the onset of Shabbos. How did he know that? He had what was the equivalent of a telescope. He had a long tube. So he had a long tube that was pre-measured for Alpaim Amma. It's a long, narrow tube so that it could see, and it was calibrated to measure 2,000 amas. So you look through the tube and see where you could see from it a distance of 2,000 amas. If it was through the tube, you could really see more than that. So then he would adjust the tube accordingly so that the distance that this tube, the maximum distance that you could see through the shveferes was Alpaim Amma. So it was pre-measured, pre-calibrated to be able to see for a distance of 2,000 amas and not more. So he said that he had that shoferes, Shahaya Mabit V'Tzeifa Baal Paimam B'Yabosha, which are able to see on dry land and see a distance of 2,000 amas, so connect al Paim B'Yam, and therefore to see 2,000 B'Yam, and therefore I was looking through the shoferes when before the onset of Shabbos, and before Shabbos arrived, I saw that I could see the port, we were already within 2,000 amas, therefore we were in the Tchum and we could disembark. So continuing on in trying to determine different heights and depths and distances, in the same manner, if a person wants to know what is the depth of a valley, so in the same manner, maybe he takes a tube, which is pre-calibrated. He knows the maximum distance that this tube he can see through, and he looks to the bottom of the valley. So for instance, if the tube is pre-calibrated at a maximum distance of 2,000 amas, so he can see the bottom of the valley. Now, he wants to know what the depth is. The fact that he can see the bottom of the valley doesn't show that that's 2,000 amas. So he steps back to the point where he can no longer see the valley. So at the edge where he can just see the bottom, but he cannot, if he steps back, he can no longer see it. He knows that's a distance of 2,000 amas. But he has to subtract the distance that he moved back. So for instance, if he moved back 500 amas, and he knows that it's the maximum distance that he can see through the shoferes 2,000 amas, then he knows that the depth of the valley is 1,500 amas. If a person wants to determine what is the height of a tree, of a palm tree, so he measures his height, and when he casts the shadow, he measures what is the distance of the shadow, the height of the shadow. So, and therefore, if let's say, for instance, he is 6 feet tall, and he casts a shadow which is 12 feet, he knows that the shadow is twice his height. And so therefore, what he could do is measure the shadow that the tree casts, and he knows that the height of the tree is similarly half of what the height of the distance of the shadow is. So a different point, not determining the heights, etc., but just a different eitzah. If a person wants to know wants to prevent a chayara from coming into a kever, into a grave, now why would he do that? So the chayaras come out when it's very sunny and very hot, they come out to seek shade. If there's a kever that casts a shadow, the chayara, the wild animal might come and try to rest under the shade of the kever, and we're afraid that it might therefore dig up the kever and be mavaz of the maze. So if he wants to prevent that, what does he do? He sticks a pole in the ground on the 4 hours of the day, so that's, in the morning it's cooler. By the 4th hour of the day, the sun is out and the day starts to get hotter, and of course it increases in heat as it progresses from there. So he sticks a pole in, and to see where it's casting a shadow, because that's the time of day that we're concerned that the chayra might now come out to seek shelter. Once he seeks shelter, he'll find the shade, and that's where he'll rest over there. So on that 4th hour of the day, he sticks the pole, sees where it casts a shadow. Now on the kever, he sees what side of the kever there's a shadow. That's the side that he wants to prevent the chaya from coming. There he builds a mound, and therefore prevents the kever from casting a shadow over there. There he constructs a mound, and that will keep the chaya away. So it's nice, he sees where the shadow, what direction the shadow slants, and then he forms a ramp, he forms a mound, a hill, and then he prevents the kever from casting the shadow there, and he keeps the chayra away from the kever.